Of the hurricane seasons that you oversaw in 2004, 5, 6, when you think back to that period, what's different about the hurricane seasons now that we have to confront in Florida?
Well, I think we're just seeing rapid intensification that we haven't seen before in history. So when you look at going back just 10 years, how many storms went from a tropical system to a Category 5 hurricane in less than a couple of days? And so, I think we're having to just get ready for these more intense hurricanes as they're approaching and maybe not have the lead time. The good thing about Milton is there's been a lot of time to get ready. In fact, many people started evacuating as early as Sunday. So this is a little bit different than a storm that just popped up. They had time to get ready, but it will not reduce the impacts.
Craig, let's talk about the FEMA response. Are they prepared?
Yeah, I get this question a lot. And as bad as Helene was, FEMA has a lot more resources, a lot more capability, and they're not going to have to stop the response in Hurricane Helene. That's, I think, a big concern for people in that area, that while the national media has focused now on what Milton's about to do, FEMA is still working and supporting the governors in the states that have already been hit. And again, the priority in any of these disasters will be always life-saving, life-sustaining, and getting communities stabilized to set the stage for long-term recovery.
FEMA recently said, though, that they have only 9% left of their personnel reserves. That's about 1,200 people. Where do they look then in terms of getting the bodies they need to go to these areas that are going to be hit?
Well, those numbers really refer to staffing required for long-term recovery. The initial response teams reset between disasters. FEMA has a lot of capability to reprioritize their resources, as well as deploy people from the headquarters. We did this in Superstorm Sandy. If FEMA needs to, and given the size and impact of what Milton looks to do, I would imagine there's going to be a lot of people redeployed across the nation to support the state of Florida.
Is the current funding enough, or do you think Congress is going to be forced back into session and get off the campaign trails?
Well, right now, FEMA does have money to do the initial response and provide support to the survivors. I think the bigger question is going to be the level of funding required for long-term recovery, the permanent work, and that's not just going to be FEMA. There'll be a lot of federal agencies that will need additional funding to support the recoveries from these previous storms and disasters, as well as what we're about to see with Hurricane Milton.
And it's not even just those storms, Craig. Before it was wildfires out west that also required FEMA money. So you get to this point, as John mentioned, a $3 billion deficit. Does there need to be a structural change with FEMA and its funding to ensure that it can continue to deal with successive climate issues?
Well, this was a situation we actually faced it in the Obama administration, and then Speaker Ryan and at that time OMB Director Jack Lew had come up with a way to increase FEMA's funding, but it was always based upon the past storms, the past disasters. So the problem is, as we get bigger and more intense disasters with little break between them, we really need to look at a funding mechanism going forward. But I think it's critical we understand this is your federal tax dollars. This is increasing cost to the budget that does not seem to be slowing down. It's growing rapidly, and it's far beyond just what FEMA programs are being taxed with. So for the federal taxpayer, we're seeing a tremendous transfer of risk to the taxpayer, where previously insurance covered this. And as the insurance markets are no longer able to provide affordable or available insurance due to these increasing impacts, we're seeing this transfer of risk to the taxpayer. And that's going to grow, and I don't know if we have answers for that yet.